just everybody gets to actually play more Magic, which is nothing but a good thing. All right, Grishoalbrand. This is my favorite semi-competitive combo deck in Modern. This deck is capable of winning on the first turn of the game. The TLDR for how this deck combos is you use the card Goryo's Vengeance to return the card Griselbrand to play on turn 1 or turn 2. You then attack and hit them for 7. And then you draw a bunch of cards. And then Nourishing Shoal, pitching Worldspine Wurm lets you draw more cards. Eventually you draw your entire deck. And then you through the breach Borborygmos Enraged and do your thing. Why would I want to play Cathartic Reunion instead of the survival card? Instead of me telling you why you're wrong, could you tell me why you're right? So I can, like, understand where you're coming from. Like, help me understand why you think it's good so I can help you understand why I think it's not. The card choice command doesn't really apply here, Kuntz, because this is the configuration of this deck from my website. So these are the cards that I would play in this deck. I've played this archetype a lot, and I like this 75. So this isn't me playing someone else's deck. Hey, Squeeze. Oh. Thanks for the 16 months. I really appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me employed here. And Diothar, thank you very much for the brand new Prime support. There's a lot of great people making a lot of great stuff on Twitch right now. Thanks for supporting my content this month with that. Tron. All right, so we're looking for either fast mana to through the breach in the Griselbrand ASAP, or we're looking for a Goryo's Vengeance. On the draw, Night's Whisper is a way to get Griselbrand into my graveyard, because if I Night's Whisper, I can discard the Griselbrand to hand size. Faithless Looting means if I hit a Goryo's Vengeance, I can kill them this turn, so let's do that. Welcome to Modern. Welcome to Modern. Welcome to Modern. Ding, ding, ding. Ring, ding, ring the bell. Do you have a main deck Surgical, Tron player? Do you have a main deck Surgical? This little piggy went wee, wee, wee all the way home. I'm wondering how you compare the two. Well, so Cathartic Reunion requires you to already have cards in your hand. Cathartic Reunion is also incredibly susceptible to... Cathartic Reunion is susceptible to counterspells because you discard the cards regardless of if your card's going to resolve. And I would like the record to reflect that Modern is a turn 4 format, and this is turn 4. My opponent took 2 turns. We took 2 turns. 2 plus 2 is 4. That's basic math. So a lot of unjust people like to argue that this deck violates Modern's turn 4 rule, and that really just couldn't be further from the truth. Quick math shows that to be fake news. This is turn 4. I unfortunately don't have another Simian Spirit Guide, right? I've only drawn 1 more Spirit Guide so far. So we're going to gain 11 here and go up to 16. And then I'm going to draw 14 more cards. Because that's how this deck works. This is, again, for those of you that are new to Modern or Magic, this is the second turn of the game. I now have 37 cards in my hand. Modern is an incredibly fair format that's very interactive. All right, now we splice. So, splice onto Arcane lets me get the effect of a spell without actually casting it. So this is going to gain me 11 while also generating me 3 mana. And then I'm going to draw up to 40 cards in my hand. And then I think I have 2 rituals, right? I think I have 2 rituals. Yeah, so I'm going to cast this ritual. I'm going to pitch this Simian Spirit Guide. I'm going to cast Through the Breach. I'm going to put Borborygmos into play. And this is the way we actually kill them. So we put Borborygmos into play, and then Borborygmos says you discard a land from your hand to deal 3 damage to your opponent. So Borborygmos is going to discard all of these lands and go wee, 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 all the way home. 1 little, 2 little, 3 little piggies, 4 little, 5 little, 6 little piggies, 7 little, 8 little, 9 little piggies. Do, 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 do. You think that was fun for my opponent? I hope it was fun for my opponent. Alright, so Collective Brutality doesn't really have text here, so I like to board that out. I like to board in a couple copies of Abrade to kill Relic of Progenitus. Trim. What do I want to trim here? Probably a Night's Whisper. Probably a Night's Whisper. Sure. Submit. I mean, this hand just needs a Griselbrand, right? So we'll keep it. Sounds good. Bum ba dum ba dum ba da dum ba dum ba dum ba da bum ba dum ba dum ba da bum ba dum bum 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 ba dum ba dum ba da dum ba dum ba dum ba dum dum. No! 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 We're so unlucky. Why are we so unlucky? Oh no! Oh no! Why are they interacting with us, chat? Rats. I think we're dead. We're not guaranteed dead, so I'm gonna Abrade the Relic at end of turn, and then if this Discovery can put, if the Discovery can put another Griselbrand in our bin, we can kill them on turn 4. Sorry, turn 8. 4 plus 4 is 8. Poker face, poker face, my. All right, so we are solidly off of the Goryo's plan, it looks like. Unfortunate. We are. Oh, I need a Through the Breach still. If we can fumble our way into it Through the Breach. We need like Through the Breach plus a mana. Maybe I can like hand size bin the Borborygmos and then bait the Relic activation with an end-step Goryo's Vengeance. I could see that being a thing I do too. Of course, that loses me the green card for the Nourishing Shoal, so there's that aspect of it. My opponent's just sitting here spinning their tires because they kept a hand without any action because it had Relic in it. So it's going to give us some time to do some stuff. This is their second Tron piece. They're getting closer to doing things. If I draw through the breach, I'll probably hold on to Borb. It's a good draw because it gives me potential lands and still lets me discard this turn. Alright, they've assembled Tron, so I assume we're dead. Play a big dumb thing so I can concede. Alright, we need to be able to play this game. Relic doesn't beat us, killing them on turn 2 if we have the 2 lands and then looting Goryo's Griselbrand. I'm gonna sideboard the same way we did that game. Just looking to race. Yep. Yep, the Mythic Championship is in fact this weekend. Starts on Friday. They kept their 7, so I assume we're getting Relic on 2 again. I think I just want a Discovery this turn. Like, dig as deep as possible. I just want to see as many cards as I possibly can here. I could see it being right to keep the mountain because then next turn I only need to draw a Griselbrand. They kept 7, so I assume they either have interaction or they have just a good Tron hand. They don't have a good Tron hand, so do they have interaction? Yeah, it could be Surgical. The fact that their start is slow here makes me think they're more likely to have a good Tron hand. Alright, are we pivoting to the Through the Breach plan? I think we're pivoting to the Through the Breach plan. Because that beats a piece of interaction. They're not Troning me next turn. I'm going to keep this because it means if I draw a untapped mana source next turn, I get to Breach the Worm. Dope. Rigild, thank you for the 4-month resub. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Look, I did specify untapped, okay? I specified untapped for a reason. Now, them getting Tron online could be bad for us. They could potentially have Tron next turn, which means our like 3/5/5s might not be enough. So Through the Breach costs less mana to splice than it does to cast. So the reason why I kept the Borborygmos there is it lets me cast Nourishing Shoal, which lets me splice Through the Breach, which lets me use Through the Breach for 4 mana for this Worldspine Wurm. The fact that I have Through the Breach left in my hand here also isn't terrible, because it means, like, if my opponent has, like, a Worm Coil or an O-Stone along with Tron next turn to beat my Worldspine Wurm leaving behind 3/5/5s, it means that if I just draw a Griselbrand or another Worm, I can then Through the Breach and, you know, once I hit a little bit more mana. I'm like, this is one of the reasons, one of the questions people ask is like, should you play like Ghalta over Worldspine Wurm because it technically gives you 1 more life and you can Goryo's Vengeance Ghalta in a pinch? I think the upside of Wurm being able to breach to sidestep graveyard hate like this is very valuable. Yeah, Tron, Ugin, O-Stone are what they need here. Worm Coil Engine also keeps them alive, right? Because Worm Coil Engine would block and then gain 6, they would go to 1. Now, worth noting here, the way they've cycled is even if they hit Tron, they can't play a sweeper other than All Is Dust. And, like, if this is a Sylvan Scrying, they only have 5 mana, and I don't think there's any 5 mana cards that Tron usually plays that beats my 3 Worms here. Yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff. That was a good range of games, right? We had a game where we turned 2'd them. We had a game where we almost played through Graveyard Hate, but ended up coming up a little bit short. And then we had a third game where we pivoted to our Breach plan and killed them with Wurm. Yeah, they were dead. They were dead through Thragtusk, exactly. Yeah. This hand's just like a pretty fast Breach Wurm, right? Like if I find another piece of fast mana or a Nourishing Shoal, do I worm them on 2? This is 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so Ritual, Simian Spirit Guide, or Shoal, and I get to 15 them on 2. All right, so we've got 8 hits to put the Wurm into play here. That is not one of them. And now we have a ton of hits, right? Because any land lets us turn 3 Wurm. That being said, if they play turn 2 Thing in the Ice here, the turn 3 Wurm is a little bit less appealing because it means flipping Thing resets the tokens. I'm going to keep that land there, so this way, if they counter my first Through the Breach, I don't get as blown out by using up all my untapped mana. Oh, they're playing Storm. Got it. All right, well, we could... This matchup's actually hard for us, because while our deck is a faster Goldfish with our best draws, their average draw is definitely faster than ours. They also have things like Remand. So, also, Wurm is not good enough here because my opponent could take 15 untap and kill us with Grape Shot. So, pretty good chance we're dead here. Usually untapping with a mana creature in Storm means you're dead. So I'm not going to concede here. For people that like mental shortcuts, You're not deterministically dead unless they have 3 red floating. So unless my opponent has another Ritual, Manamorphose, or land in hand, we're not deterministically dead here. So I'm gonna ditch their 2 pieces of mana. I like Leyline of Sanctity in this matchup. Remand is pretty good. I think this is all I want to do. You could make arguments for like Fatal Push and Collective Brutality and things like that. But I think at the end of the day, especially on the play for game 2, I don't want to dilute my game plan too much here. I think I want to just click submit like this. Leyline means they can't grape shot us. And it means they can't cast Gifts Ungiven, because Gifts Ungiven targets the opponent that's choosing what you do with the cards. This hand doesn't do a whole lot. It doesn't have a Leyline in it, so I'm going to mulligan. This hand's, like, good, so we'll keep it. It doesn't have a Leyline, but it's just, like, a good hand. Pact of Negation is in the sideboard of this deck for decks that have counter spells. So like against blue-white control, for instance, you want Pact of Negation. Because this deck kills the opponent the turn it combos. So you want to think about Pact of Negation as just think about Pact of Negation like it's a counter your counter and then kill you immediately. So we never plan to pay 5 mana for Pact of Negation. We're probably dead here. Yeah, it comes in against Burn 2 for Skullcrack and Deflecting Bomb, yep. It's there for decks that have instant speed interaction for your combo. It's not there to interact with your opponent specifically. It's there to keep them from interacting with you, basically. Alright, my opponent's missing a second land, so we have a chance since we're spinning our tires. They're also spinning a little bit. When you are a linear deck, it tends to be more common to stick to your primary game plan in game 2, yeah. When your deck's incredibly proactive, you want to when you're a proactive deck, every card you board in that's not part of your game plan dilutes your game plan. Alright, so Goryo's Vengeances and untapped mana sources likely let us win the game next turn. We've got 1 shot at the mana source. We've got 3 shots at the Goryo's Vengeance. Technically 5 shots at the Goryo's Vengeance. I can double looting. Can you time out Anner? I don't want mod-on-mod violence, Nivik. Oh, I bottomed a shoal earlier, right? Right? I bottomed a shoal earlier. So I should shuffle. All right, perfect. So pitch this. Exile that. This gets me 14 more cards. There's my mana monkey. So now we cast this. Exile this. Splice this. And then we go. Cast this. Coma Cake. Thanks for the 14 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Through the Breach the Borborygmos. Who's the ritual deck now? Yep. All right, so do I want to be a little bit interactive on the draw? I think I do. It's not really that complicated once you're familiar with it. There's like a small subset of things that are weird if you've never done them before, but once you've got them committed to muscle memory, it's pretty straightforward. Splice on Arcane combo. Even if you've played much Modern, if you haven't played this deck specifically, it can be difficult to know exactly what's going on with this. Marty, really, it's okay. I'm gonna watch other people streaming early access stuff later today. Don't be upset or like not enjoy things in Magic just because of Wizards of the Coast position with me personally. Their position is petty and silly, but it is what it is, and Magic's a great game, and it's gonna be okay even without their support, okay? I think I mulligan this. It's no Leyline, it's no interaction, it doesn't have a fast combo, so it just like doesn't check any of the boxes we're interested in checking. Yeah, this seems reasonable. I'm gonna keep it. No! Oh, no! Oh, no! Oh! 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 Oh, no! Oh, no! Oh, he fumbles the ball! Oh, no! I've made a terrible mistake, chat. I've made a, yep, it's one of our first time playing Leylines with the new rule. Uh-oh. For people that missed what I did there, I wanted to put the Leyline into play, but I forgot that we were currently mulliganing still, and I put the Leyline on the bottom of my deck. Yep. Yikes, at least it's just a league match, right? Aaron, thanks for the half a year. I appreciate it. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me here. I mean, I could pitch 2 Spirit Guides and Abrade this Baral. I could pitch 2... God, we'd be in such a good spot if I had a Leyline. I think I'm taking the Abrade, but I'm not going to double Simian Spirit Guide to kill this. I guess if they cast a Ritual, I can Abrade it in response. If they like go for the Gifts Ungiven, I Abrade it in response. That's it. If they start going for it, I'll Abrade it in response to the gifts. So if they have Gifts Ungiven here, it is almost deterministic. Aaron, thanks for the 10 months. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. And again, they just wouldn't be able to cast the spell if I had the Leyline in play. A majority of streamers do mostly limited games. If you're here, you have a little bit of a biased sample. So we do a lot of constructed around these parts. They have the Past in Flames in hand. Alright, good chance we win this game if I work the Moto interface properly, but unfortunately I was not able to. Talking and clicking at the same time. New interface, bad muscle memory. Muscle memory and distractions got me on that one. Unfortunately. Like I said, that matchup's hard, but I think we would have had a real good shot there. London ley lines falling down, falling down, falling down. London ley line falling down. Do 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 do. Do 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 beep 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 do 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 do. I think I scared people in the parking lot. It really is sad that it has a terrible border, you're not wrong. Yeah, see, it's pretty good. Just needs a Goryo's Vengeance. More in Digitech. Tron. I'm actually gonna go ahead and Temple on one here, I think. Do I keep Shoal? Shoal. This is technically a ramp spell, right? For the Through the Breach. I think I keep this. This sets me up to turn 3 Breach. And like, do I even bother to Faithless Looting here? I guess I could find, like, Simian, Spirit Guide, Goryo's Vengeance. Bits for the Mardu Aristocrat list I submitted for new standard. Will do deprint. Thanks for the support. I think I'm ditching the land here. No, that doesn't make sense. So we're hoping to avoid getting Karned this turn, which it looks like we are. So, Desperate Ritual cast. Nourishing Shoal. Exile this, splice this, pitch the Spirit Guide to pay for it. The old put Griselbrand into play off of Through the Breach with only 2 lands. Well, the early access thing is weird. The early access thing only lasts until 7 a.m. tomorrow. So there's 24 hours of early access, and then there's a 24-hour break where people have to go back to not playing with the new cards again. So I'm going to watch some of the early access stuff this evening and this afternoon while I'm at the gym, but nobody will be watching it tomorrow unless they change what they originally said. I do have a land drop. That is something that is on my mind. Alright, so I have a land drop. And then I go pitch, Simian Spirit Guide, Faithless Looting, ditch Borborygmos. And then Goryo's Vengeance, the Borborygmos back into play with this other Simian Spirit Guide. Throw some lands at their face. And obviously we could have, like, Through the Breached him eventually too, but, like, this is an example of all the roads heading in the direction of Rome. Dealer's choice. Fair deck doing fair things. Listen! This was turn 6, Marty. That was that was like a geriatric game of Modern. It was incredibly old and long. I'm on your side. Long game, amazing, yep. I don't think there's anything in the new set that really goes into this deck. This deck's fine. This deck doesn't really need new tools. I should probably borrow this and show up to a paper tournament with it at some point. It's a total hoot. What am I doing with my life? Complimentary timeout, please. Thanks for the 5 months, Shockley. Welcome back. I appreciate you keeping me here. Wizards announced they're partnering with Day 9 to do a series called What the Deck, where Day 9 will be playing against guests using, wait for it, viewer-submitted decks. That's great, Marty. As someone who's largely built their brand playing viewer-submitted decks, they work well. I have no idea, Hardicus. The deck probably gets rebuilt. I think I keep this. The post-board, the Tron players tend to have, like, more relics and ways to interact with us. So, like, having a hand that, like, has some fast mana and a Worldspine Wurm to get to Through the Breach is not a bad thing. I have an Abrade to clear that one, though, which is nice. I'm going to bottom this. Okay. I'm going to braid this at end of turn here. And then if we have a really good Faithless Looting, we can actually kill them next turn. So, I'm actually going to wait on this Goryo's Vengeance, or on this Faithless Looting, because I want to give myself the most possible looks to find a copy of Griselbrand. That's unfortunate. I guess the Wurm's kind of scary here. Like this hand cuts in a couple different directions. Like if they take one of these two and I draw through the breach, I breach worm them next turn. Although I guess with the Oblivion Stone, maybe they're less worried about that. I'm going to cast this first because I would like to, again, give myself the most possible looks to Faithless Looting. So I'm going to discard Steam Vents here, and I'm going to discard Worldspine Wurm, and then if the Discovery puts a Griselbrand into the bin, I can Goryo's Vengeance it back with the Simian Spirit Guide. Welcome to Modern. Welcome to Modern. Someone's asking about Discovery versus Cathartic Reunion earlier, too. And, like, that's a good example of just, like, Discovery being much, much better, right? Because it can, like, grab the card off the top of my deck there. I need some... I ideally want Simian Spirit Guides before I start casting these shoals, so I'm going to smack them. I'm hesitant to call it a strict upgrade because strict upgrades in Magic in general are pretty rare, but I definitely believe it's an upgrade. Yeah, the Steam Vents is to be able to cast Dispersal, but I'm not sure if it's worth it. It's probably cheeky. All right, looking for a Spirit Guide here. Wow, I failed to hit a Spirit Guide. I already burned my Manamorphose, right? Yikes. How many shoals do I have? Well, I still have a bunch of shoals. Okay, I think we're fine. So, I still only have one Simian, right? There's only one there. So I can't splice my rituals just yet. But this lets me pick up every card in my deck except one. All right, we hit the Spirit Guides. In paper, this deck's a lot easier to manage because you just, like, sort your hand as you're drawing the cards, basically. And on digital, you can't do that. Well, I guess you can, but it's more clunky. So now I can splice this ritual. That's true. The Steam Vents does also cast the Discovery half. So, like, Mountain Steam Vents Discovery is keepable. Which is somewhat relevant. So we're not drawing any more cards, but I'm pitching these Nourishing Shoals to make mana at this point. Because I got to splice a spell onto them. So because Modern is an incredibly fair and interactive format, my opponent had turn 1 Grafdigger's Cage, and then they had turn 1 Grafdigger's Cage, and then they had Thought Knot Seer, and they had this Oblivion Stone, and they're just still dying here on my 4th turn. You cut Steam Vents and Swamps for Gemstone Caverns. That's aggressive. That's really aggro. I mean, he's not wrong that shocks aren't free. So, like, this deck does use its health total as a resource when it's drawing. So, his assessment that it's not free is correct. However, like, it's only a second shock land, right? Like, there's only 2 shocks in my deck. All right, so we've dumpstered Tron twice. I misclicked against Storm to lose. So not a bad day. We have over 600 people in here. 600 folks isn't bad for it being the preview day. Thanks everyone for hanging out here today for Modern. Remember, I'm going to be off tomorrow, I think. Unless, I'm like fingers crossed that like WotC is going to like just surprise us all and like roll out the update a day early. Because having the early access end and then a day off before the update for everyone else seems silly. But unless they roll out the update a day early for Arena, I'm going to be off tomorrow. Are we dropping a Crypts for event? No, it would be a basic mountain if it's not Steam Vents. Yeah, the Steam Vents would be a mountain if you decide not to play the Steam Vents. Which is fine. It's super marginal in every direction. I have Dispersal Leyline of the Void. I would like to be on record that I have Dispersal Leyline of the Void in this deck before. So it's not irrelevant. It does come up on occasion. Where did they keep early access going into there? That would be fine too. I just think it's a colossally stupid decision to have early access for a day and then have people go back to streaming without the new cards for a day. Our opponent Mulligan to 3 and conceded from the game. Hey, Ian, thanks for the 38 months. I appreciate that. Welcome, welcome, welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. No, MTGA is up. It just doesn't have the update. It's just the same format you've been playing. One of the OGs. 38 months. I think I've been partnered for 44 months. Yeah, I've been subbed to my channel for 44 months. So 44 is the longest anyone can be. This one's definitely the deck of the day so far. It's not really an unusual decision. Having streamers promote your products in advance is like pretty norm in the games industry. The only thing that's weird about it is that they're promoting it early, having a day going back to the old and then finally releasing. Usually the industry standard from my understanding is you preview it and then immediately have it let everyone play it. I think I'm keeping this. My opponent Mulligan to 3 and conceded before we played Magic. So I assume they're playing Tron. Narset Cannon still unplayably bad even with the Mulligan change, believe it or not. To be fair, if you sold out of it a year ago, that means you sold out of it before they reprinted all the stuff, right? So like they reprinted Goryo's and Breach, right? I could only imagine what could have happened if, like, Valve would have, like, bought Hex or a decent little card game instead of, like, creating the giant disaster that was Artifact. That was just, like, a bad game. Like, I can't even imagine what Valve money would do to a card game that's, like, actually good. As opposed to, well, Artifact. Nah, just be lucky, Dolph. Just be lucky. Or through the breach them. Through the breaching them is a good option too. Yeah, they genuinely think Artifact is a good game. which is not the case. I think they think because their game involves skill, is a skill-based game. Like, Artifact's probably much lower variance than Magic and Hearthstone, but that doesn't make it a good game. I think I'm in it for the long haul here. So I think I'm gonna keep both of these. Yeah, I agree. The places, and I think that's something enough people don't appreciate. Like, a lot of people like to complain games are high variance, when in reality, what they mean is that the places the variance has been chosen to be put in those games feels bad. So there's a difference between a game having a lot of variance in it and a game that is, like, emotionally taxing. Do I have room for another discovery? Yeah, I think I do. I don't think I want this Faithless Looting though, because it's technically card disadvantage. So I'm gonna play the land out, and then next turn I can double discovery and just like keep sculpting my hand. My opponent's notably missing land drops here, so hopefully when this Ancestral Visions eventually resolves, they're gonna have to move to hand side. So if we're really fortunate, they're gonna miss a third land drop again here. And then even though they have a lot of cards, we'll be able to choke them based on their mana capacity. Yeah, the 600 viewers that we have right now is like, that's like more than like a lot of Magic streamers get, right? We're doing A-okay. I don't think I'm in for Worldspine Wurm, huh? This Collective Brutality seems potentially useful, so I'm going to keep that. So the worm shuffles back in. I just don't want to draw it. I don't want to look at it again with this other discovery. Goryo's Vengeance only returns Deceiver Exarch. Oh, are they Grixis Goryos? I think they're Grixis Goryos. We could be dead here. Yeah, Goryo's only gets back legendary creatures. Kill me, puppy. That explains the missed land drops too. Electrodominance. Yep. Yep. You gonna have a little pig on pig violence here. So I'm going to Desperate Ritual here because I want to find an untapped land or a mana source here. Because if I find the untapped land like I did here, it lets me pay for Izzet Charm with the Simian Spirit Guide, which is useful because Izzet Charm is the only interaction their deck usually plays. So now I can Goryo's Vengeance around Izzet Charm / Spell Pierce. Yikes. So the opponent must have been watching the stream because they conceded game 1 without playing. And I'm not saying that they're ghosting, like they could have minimized the stream, but like they knew what we were playing without taking a turn game 1. So they knew how to sideboard without taking any game actions. Casting Brutality to play around counterspells is not better because my opponent has a draw 7 sitting in play. So I think it's better to just play around them drawing an Izzet Charm in 7 cards than it is to hope they already have the counterspell in the hand and them not drawing a counterspell with 7 cards off the top of their deck. I'm familiar with the opponent's archetype, so other than the Swan Songs out of the sideboard, which I was assuming they didn't sideboard because we didn't play a game 1, obviously, I forgot to consider the fact that, like, they could know what we were playing because we're streaming. So I think it's better because of the Griselbrand, just, like, play around Izzet Charm, which is the game 1 counterspell they usually have access to. Hey, Zazzy, thanks for the 5 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. And I assume we're dead here. Any counterspell or Electro Dominance plus Living End kills us. So I have to be pretty fortunate here for this worm to be able to connect. Even if this resolves, there's no guarantee that the worm's gonna connect. They can also just have like Deceiver Exarch to tap the worm. Yeah. Sure. No, they definitely knew what we were playing. And again, that doesn't mean they're ghosting. They could just be someone who watches the stream. Like, I've definitely watched streams and like chosen to like minimize and close the stream when I queue into them, but I know what they're playing obviously because I'm watching, but they obviously were able to sideboard after not playing the first game. What's going on, Wiggles? We'll be streaming all the war you could ever want. As soon as the new As soon as the set drops for all of us regular plebeian people. Wee McGee, thank you for the 11 months. I appreciate it. Yeah, the whole order of things is super whack for sure. The Knight's Whisper was sided. Bloodwind could have killed them. That's true. That is just true. I assume they're gonna, as foretold, cast Living End, and then Kiki combo us. Alright. It is what it is, Malurin. There's no need to dwell on it every time one of these events comes up. There's gonna be plenty of events like this that come up at this point. I think this is a Pact of Negation matchup. Probably cut the Knight's Whispers. Honestly, maybe the packs are just better than the Collective Brutalities. That's probably the case. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'm just gonna bring in the packs and keep one Knight's Whisper. Just like beep beep, go fast on the play. They have like surgical and stuff too, so pack stops that as well. Ant to the max, thanks for the 4 months. Flip it, party bus yet, or did it get lost? That'll be one of the ones we play on Thursday, I believe. I mean, I know for a fact that there's a variety of people that work at Wizards of the Coast that like me and like my content plasma. Like, I even have some, like, people who are friends that I, like, grew up playing Magic with that, like, work at Wizards of the Coast now. But they also definitely have a corporate culture of not liking to work with people who aren't just, like, mostly positive. There's a reason why, like when that whole invitational thing happened, it wasn't just like me that wasn't invited, but like there's a reason why like Saffron Olive and Tolarian Community College weren't there too, right? Like those are other people that are like super positive about the game and have huge audiences, but like say things that like make Wizards unhappy with some consistency. I think we're on the Through the Breach plan. Desperate Ritual definitely means we're on the Through the Breach plan. In fact, if I draw a Spirit Guide, Ritual, or Shoal next turn, I can breach the Griselbrand into play. Yeah, it's fine. I do me. They do them. Everybody's happy at the end of the day. So I could go for it here, but that stupid Swan Song is like looming, and my deck can kill them at instant speed, so if they like tap out, I'll just kill them. So I think I want to give them the chance to like flashback Faithless Looting here or something. Or like cast an As Foretold and just like kill them in response. Of course, if they are watching the stream, this plan's not going to work, obviously. This is actually really good because so we can splice the Through the Breach onto there. So what we're going to end up doing is, on their next end of turn, we'll end step, Shoal, Splice the Breach. They'll counter, and then we'll untap, cast the actual Breach. So they'll need 2 counter spells, which is great. Splicing the Shoal splicing the breach onto the shoal also means that if they have Izzet Charm as a spell pierce, we can pay for it. We don't know for certain that they're ghosting. They were, at the very least, they knew what we were playing before the match started. But they could have just been someone who's watching the stream too. There's no guarantee that they were ghosting. So I'm gonna do this, and this is one of the ways this deck plays through counter spells, which is you splice your important spell onto something else, and then they counter that, and then you're like, okay, I still have my important spell, I'm gonna resolve that next turn. So they're gonna need Dub's Swan Song here, or like Dub's hard counter. So that happens. And now I get to go Desperate Ritual. Now I get to cast Desperate Ritual, which Desperate Ritual plus Simian Spirit Guide lets me beat Izzet Charm here too. So they need Swan Song Dose. For the people asking why I didn't splice again or why I didn't splice onto the ritual, I wanted to play around Izzet Charm. Generally speaking, they only have 2 copies of Swan Song at most, and they tend to have 4 copies of Izzet Charm. So I think playing around Izzet Charm on both of my casts is statistically correct. It feels bad to get double Swan Song, but that doesn't mean it's incorrect to make the play that I've made. I am 1 land away from paying 8 mana and casting Griselbrand, so we got that going for us. And like, the Swans dealing damage to them is not irrelevant here because it is hammering their health total, so when they get their Griselbrand back, they're going to be able to draw less cards, which is good for us. So it's going to put Griselbrand into play here. It's really unfortunate that I just, like, didn't have any Faithless Lootings this game, so I couldn't put my own Griselbrand in the bin. So, playing around Izzet Charm both times, Raymile, plays around 1 Swan Song and 1 Izzet Charm. And they're much more likely to have 1 and 1, right? Than to have double Swan Song. So the line that I took played around an Izzet Charm and a Swan Song, or just an Izzet Charm. Especially once they've already played 1 Swan Song, their single piece of interaction is likely to be Izzet Charm. This is a great example of making the probabilistically correct play and still losing because of it, because that's just how Magic works. It's a game with a lot of variance, and being super results-based and saying you should have done the other thing because they had 2 things that they are unlikely to have. Sure, Raymile, but then they get to untap and have more counter spells and draw more cards. And the more cards you let them see, my opponent only had 3 mana at the time. So if they have double Izzet Charm there, they Izzet Charm the first one, and then they Izzet Charm it again the following turn because I don't have the mana to play around it now because I've lost my ritual. And I'm giving them more chances to see more cards to have those Izzet Charms. There's a lot of the times where I talk about things with uncertainty where it could go in both ways. I am confident that it is 100% never correct to play around double Swan Song. with the position that they're in. There are times where I talk about being uncertain with decisions I'm making. This is not one of them. And I get that it feels bad that we lost, but the plays I made were correct at the time. It's not even just about making them have anything, right? It's about making them have a very specific combination of 2 cards they likely only have 2 copies of. Like, the odds of your opponent having 2 of their 2 of in a dozen cards is absurdly low. What's the Hyper Geo on that? So, like, if they have 60, they have 2, the sample size is probably 12, you want 2 chances. There's a less than 4% chance that they have double Swan Song. This hand just needs a Goryo's Vengeance. Good games, Ohio. There's only 2 Swan Songs in your deck, right? Yep. Okie doke. Let's go. Look at that. It's like I know what I'm talking about because we just played that deck. You just played that deck on Sunday. This is really cute, opponent. It's like totes adorbs. How we doing? How you doing? Ooh, we've bricked on a shoal, chat. We've bricked on a shoal. It was getting a little hairy there for a second. Oh, I don't have another spirit guide, do I? That's fine. Alright, 14 cards left in my deck. Did we draw another shoal? Did I brick on a second spirit guide still? Is that real? Do I still not have... There's 1 Simian spirit guide? There are 3 spirit guides in my bottom 14? It's not 3 of Charm, Ray. It's 2 of Charm. It's two of Charm. It's not 3 of, it's 2 of. They go Swan Song, Charm, Charm. Alright, we did it. They've died. This was our first turn 3 kill. We took 2 turns, they took 1 turn. Good clean live-in. Yeah, the graphics update today is not the greatest. Prof, what's going on? Yeah, this is definitely one of the welcome to modern moments, right? You just like cast your Hangerback Walker on your first turn, and your opponent untaps and kills you on 2. Oh, I punted this game. I could have drawn 7 more and ended the game with my whole deck in my hand. Big mistake. Abrade's good. Bontu's is good. I think Fatal Push and Lightning Axe is good. You cut the Night's Whispers against the aggressive decks. They're going to be pressuring our health total. I'm going to cut Collective Brutality here. I think Anger of the Gods is not quite good enough in matchups like this because their creatures tend to get bigger faster. No, we didn't know they had a Swan Song. It's my backup streaming PCs for playing on ultra low to turn the graphic settings down. Raspberry Pi MTG. The funny part, or maybe the sad part, is that Moto is not resource friendly. It is a hog. In fact, we haven't restarted yet today. Did I? Maybe I did. How much memory are we up to? Moto is currently using only 1.4 gigs. I must have restarted already. This does not seem particularly good. It's got a Fatal Push, a little bit of interaction. And the Shoal gains us life, but it's just missing mana. It doesn't have any way to draw cards, right? It's not... This hand seems fine. I just push the Manamorphose. It's got a fast start in it, right? We get to Temple on 1, into Looting Goryo's kill on 2 if we're lucky. Only 1.4 gigs, yep. The memory leak is to give you a reminder that you should try and go outside. So I take a step back and think, Boba. But an also Mulligan to 6 as the next spell to start. Looking for a Griselbrand here. My monthly mortgage payment to keep the Jeff man talking on my computer screen. Keep up the great content. Thank you for the 11 months still in the water. No, we're talking about the chance of them having Is It Charm into Is It Charm. Maybe, I don't even remember at this point. Yeah, everything's up on YouTube. Everything gets on YouTube the day I played it. Tron got played Sunday. No, it was Sunday. Alright, so 3 shots to kill them next turn. So if there's a Griselbrand, then our top 3 cards, our opponent is probabilistically dead. Which would be sweet. I like two turn kills in a row. Have a good one, She. And even if we don't kill them next turn, they don't have any interaction. Their clock isn't particularly fast here, so we're going to have time while they spin their tires. Hey, look at that. Look at that. It was the first one. Lunchbox, thanks for the video. I appreciate it. welcome to Modern. Welcome to Modern. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Does this deck feel more consistent with the London Mulligan? Every deck is more consistent with the London Mulligan. Every good deck got better with the London Mulligan. The only decks that got worse with the London Mulligan are decks that were unplayable garbage to begin with, that were only occasionally winning matches because Magic's a game that's empowered by an incredible amount of variance. So this deck, it was good before, and it's better now. Yeah, I gave the Bit Cup up because it was just clutter. I wanted to cut down on the amount of elements I had going on stream when I added the Tempo Storm banner. I just felt like there was too much going on. All right, I haven't hit any Spirit Guides yet, but I've hit enough shoals that I think we can pick our deck up. And there's the number of cards in our deck is currently divisible by 7, which is a win. If they decide to make the London Mulligan the official Mulligan rule, it will come to all formats. It's currently being tested on Magic Online because the upcoming Mythic Championship is Modern. So Mythic Championship competitors are testing Modern on Magic Online currently. All right, our opponent's deterministically dead here. I just have to click through it. The jury is still out on what's happening with Tempo Storm. Hopefully we'll get that sorted up by the end of the month. I really hope it becomes the new rule, too. I think Magic is a better game with this Mulligan change. Man. Sometimes I feel bad when I double turn 2 people, but other times it's like, nah, they signed up for Modern. They know what they're getting into. What is or isn't happening? I mean, they're either going to be okay with me running no ads, or I'm no longer going to be affiliated with them. Those are the 2 options. There is not an option in the middle with me running some amount of ads. We Griselbranded. We went 3-2, but I misclicked when we were mulliganing with the Leyline against Storm, and we likely would have killed them. So it's like a 4-1 or so. I would not cut anything for Emrakul in this deck because Emrakul is very bad in this archetype. Would much rather have Worldspine Wurm and Griselbrand. Anything you're cutting for Emrakul is going to lose consistency to your deck. You run 1 frame of ads every 30 seconds. No, that unfortunately does not work that way. Yeah, they wanted to update my contract Anoronics to make me run Twitch ads 6 minutes an hour. I told them, I said that was unacceptable. All right, I'm going to run to the restroom really quick, and when I get back, we're going to wrap things up today with Black Red Prison.